Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharal and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Hamashiach. Listen, make no mistake about this. We do this for the Most High. We bear the witness of Yahusha Hamashiach, given to us by Yahusha, receiving it in Emunah, never having physically laid eyes on him. Believing that he has cleansed us, washed us, purged us. Believing in the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, I do this for the witness. I do this for the Most High. Listen, we listening to none other than my Achaia. The song is entitled Most High. And listen, I don't own the rights to this music. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha Hamashiach, I pray. In the name of Yahusha Hamashiach, I pray. You call me to spare not. Cry loud. Lift up my voice like a trump in Zion. Lift up my voice like a trump in Zion to tell your people they need to receive the witness. They need to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. They need to be established in what that looks like. Yahuah, I thank you in the name of Yahusha for this witness. I pray that you take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, I'm praying that I will cause no one to stumble, to be turned out of the way, to come up lame. Yahuah, I'm praying that your word go forth, for your word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our pathway. The entrance of thy word gives light, to give understanding to the simple. Yahuah, I'm praying that your word make alive. Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. In the name of Yahushua Hamashiach, I pray. Listen, understand this. We are in it for the witness. I love Yahuah. I'm grateful to Yahuah. I am not doing anything to grieve his Ruach HaKodesh. I don't want no parts of that. I want to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. I want to be developed in wisdom and understanding and knowledge and counsel and might. I want the fear of Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh to have the preeminence in me all the time. I have received the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, Shava'o has already come and gone. But Yahuwah is sending a refreshing. I'm not talking about the day of Pentecost. The day of Pentecost happened over 2,000 years ago. But we remember Shava'o because we understand what this witness is. We understand what the Ruach HaKodesh is. The Ruach HaKodesh is given unto us. And we must walk in this witness. We must be established in the blood. We must be established in the Ruach HaKodesh. We must be established in the water. You got to have it all. We got the Most High. Hezekiah, we got the Most High. I love you, Ak. Listen, I don't want to write this music. Listen, Ak, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your ministry and song. I give you who a praise for you. All praise to the Most High. Todah Rabbah Yahuah. For this Aki continue to anoint him. In the name of Yahushua Hamashiach. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah. This is about the witness. This is all I am here to do is declare unto you, as Yahuwah has instructed me, that you must receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You must receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You must receive Yahusha's witness. What it looks like is what you've seen in Acts. Acts of the Apostles. The demonstration of the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. This is what has to follow you with signs. Excuse me. Yahuah, listen. Yahuah, listen. Yahuah is sending a refreshing of the Ruach HaKodesh. Because, you know, people in the awakening hasn't understood what it looks like to have the Ruach HaKodesh. Right. The Ruach HaKodesh is Yahuah and Yahusha in you. Right. They don't understand how it's demonstrated in you. Right. The Ruach HaKodesh is given to you as a comforter, as a guide. It is a power of Yahuah to do miracles, right? To perform miracles, to do the things that Yahusha himself did. Right? This is what the Ruach HaKodesh is to be doing in us. Right. And the Ruach HaKodesh is a keeper. Right? It'll keep you. Oh yeah, if you want to be kept, it'll keep you, right? If you want to continue, remain, and dwell in him, you will be kept. If you want to endure to the end, then you will be kept. If you do not want to endure, right, and if you decide that you would rather go back, right, having received Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh, but turn back, right, to what you once did and how you once lived, guess what? You done. There remaineth no more sacrifice. He has given you the witness of Yahusha Mashiach. He's given you the Ruach HaKodesh, but you turn. And listen. I love the various elders and Akis, and I don't do anything to be disrespectful to anybody, because you know what? I love these ox. I love these elders. And, you know, you must understand the Ruach HaKodesh, right? You must understand the Ruach HaKodesh, right? The Ruach HaKodesh will remain with you and continue with you as long as you walk with, in agreement with, Yahuah and Yahusha, and keep his Basora and his Torah in your heart, right? If you choose to deviate from that, guess what, right? Yahuwah is not going to share his temple with your fornication, right? What fellowship is Yahuwah with? What fornication? What fellowship has Hamashiach with Belial, right? And we are the witnesses of Yahusha, and if we endure to the end, right, he's going to be that. He's going to be there with us in the end. He is our resurrection. He is our life. He is our peace. He is our hope. He is our Yeshua. But listen, make no mistake about it. You got to do something. You got to do something, right? You got to be disciplined in your walk in the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to fast. You have to pray. You have to seek Yahuwah. You have to seek Yahuwah's word. The Ruach of truth will reveal that word to you. You have to come in line with the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh. Look, if you go to the left and you walk away and turn away from Yahuwah, listen, there ain't nothing else to be done. All that's left for you is to be burned like thorns and thistles. Listen, you have to stay in this. You know, the Christian church used to teach a doctrine, once saved, always saved. And once you've accepted Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, and once you accept Jesus, right, and receive their version of the Holy Ghost, right, then you are always saved, right. It doesn't matter how much you repent and sin. It doesn't matter how much you grieve the Ruach HaKodesh, right. You always saved, right. You always in. Right, because you've accepted this witness, right? You in, right? Listen, If you think that accepting the witness of Yahushua Mashiach and the Ruach HaKodesh seals you without any personal devotion and effort, being committed to disciplining yourself, right? Taking authority over your flesh and your mind by renewing it, right? If you think that you could get by, right, with just understanding and receiving the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach and the Ruach HaKodesh and not put forth any effort, no. It don't work like that. You got to endure to the end, right? Yahusha is going to be that witness in you that's going to take you by the Ruach HaKodesh to the end, as long as you remain, continue, and dwell in him. Man, this witness, this Ruach HaKodesh, this Ruach HaKodesh. Right. When you receive this Ruach HaKodesh, he cleanses you. Right? In order for you to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, you have to have a temple that has been purged through the blood of Yahusha. You just ain't going to come dwell in you and you haven't received the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. You haven't received the water and the blood. You haven't been baptized. You haven't received the water and the blood. The blood is that act of cleansing you. Your sins are cleansed and forgiven because of the Yahusha's blood that Yahuah received in the Shamayim and the Holies of Holies. And because you are cleansed, right, the Ruach HaKodesh now can take residence in you because Yahuah ain't dwelling in no unclean temple. Yahuah is not going to dwell in you in your unclean state, right? It's just not going to happen. So when he comes and lives in you because you desire the infilling of the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And he comes and lives in you, right? He is in a temple that's been swept clean. Yeah, your mind still has to be renewed, right? But listen, he has cleansed you from sin consciousness, right? You remember what you used to be. But you remembering what you used to be doesn't mean you're still that person. But I guarantee you something, you better take this word of Yahuah, right, and meditate on it so that you can gain the mastery over your thoughts and know the difference between your thoughts and what Hasatan is introducing. The Ruach HaKodesh is designed to lead you and guide you, right? Lead and guide. Lead, which means that he says, okay, this is the way you're supposed to go. Follow me. Take my hand and follow me and I'll guide you. But if you don't want to take his hand, right, you want to go your own way, right, though he's telling you, look, follow me, right, he's giving you the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to listen. You have to listen. The only reason why you grieving the Ruach HaKodesh is because you're not listening to him. Because you're not obeying him. You're not listening. You're not shaping the way you think. You're not fasting. You're not praying. You're not sanctifying yourself. You're not dedicating yourself. That's why Yahuwah's tribulation comes. Because it works. It works. It's designed to put you in a place with Yahuwah, right? Where you depend on him. Therefore, you take his hands and he leads you and he guides you. But listen, bro. Listen, Hebrew. Aki, Akoti. Listen, Elder Ema. Listen. Mora, listen. If you choose to turn away from Yahuwah, Yahusha, to renew Yahusha's, to crucify Yahusha fresh, listen, there's no more sacrifice for you. Having tasted of the goodness of the Ruach HaKodesh and turn away. Tasted of the Ruach HaKodesh, then turn away. And you cannot believe that Yahusha is going to stay with you as you have turned away. Because the Ruach HaKodesh was constantly giving you warnings. He was constantly sending elders and imams before you. He was constantly leading you and guiding you, but you weren't listening. And you're going to have people that ain't going to listen. You're going to have people in this walk that started out, Shaul said, you started out running well. Who's bewitched you? Who's caused you to turn aside from that which you have been, that which you knew, in the Ruach HaKodesh, and that you were once convinced of. You have an obligation in this witness. You have an obligation to Yahuah and Yahusha to remain and continue and dwell in this witness. Right? This witness. In this witness, you don't willfully turn and renew yourself to darkness. You don't. And the Ruach HaKodesh ain't hanging out with you. Because when your temple becomes defiled, guess what? The Ruach HaKodesh does not dwell in it. It becomes unclean. Yahuah ain't gonna dwell in no temple that's unclean. See, and that's why the Ruach HaKodesh, Yahuah gave him to his disciples, because he knew that they were gonna need him. Yahuah, there was the only way that we were going to be established as sons and daughters of Yahuah is by the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? Right? The only way. You can't willfully choose to sin against Yahuah and move against the Ruach HaKodesh and expect Yahuah to remain with you. Yahuah is going to warn you throughout whatever it is you're doing in the Ruach HaKodesh until the point that he knows that you've decided to sin against him, then it's done. Once saved, always saved. That's what they used to say. Once you're saved, you're always saved. Shaul kept saying, if you endure to the end, you shall reap. If you endure, which suggests that it's you and your level of commitment, your level of discipline. Yeah, Yahuah's giving you all you need to get the job done, but will you do what it takes to get the job done? He's giving you what you need to get the job done, but will you do what it takes to get the job done? He's giving you the Ruach HaKodesh, all you need to get the job done, but will you discipline yourself? Will you be led by the Ruach HaKodesh? Will you allow the Ruach HaKodesh to work through you? Right? 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 Will you do what Yahuah says to do? Right? Quenching the Ruach HaKodesh is not following through with what the Ruach says to do. The Ruach say don't do that. You do it anyway. You're quenching. You're allowing the Ruach's power to be of none effect. You're allowing the Ruach's guidance to be of none effect, because he's trying to guide you, but you're maneuvering and doing things the way you want to, and what you're doing is you're actually tying his hands, because the Ruach ain't gonna do no more than you allow him to do in you. You ain't gonna force an agenda on you. See, I tell you that Yahuah has told me to do this because I have to do it. Yeah, I have to do it because I know what it means to obey Yahuah. And in disobeying Yahuah, I know what I do is I put myself in jeopardy and at risk of Yahuah's his anger, right? For me not following what he says. See, I don't want to have tribulation to get Yahuah to move. And I don't want to grieve him. Grieve the Ruach Yahuah and Yahusha in me. I don't want to do that. I'm telling you, it's because you don't know what the Ruach HaKodesh is. And you don't know what the Ruach HaKodesh does. And you think, you have this Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you and he going to stay with you forever. Yeah, he going to stay with you forever as long as you continue to remain and dwell in Yahusha. Listen, you have to understand, Yahusha said, listen, if you love me, you keep my commandments. Right? He said, if you love me, you keep my commandments. Right? He knew the disciples weren't at that time when he said that in a position to keep his commandments because Yahusha had not yet been glorified. The Ruach HaKodesh has not been given. And Yahuwah said he was going to sprinkle clean water on you, put the Ruach HaKodesh in you in order for you to keep his commandments, his statutes, his judgments. You got to understand what the Ruach HaKodesh does. Yahusha knew that they was going to do it because he was omniscient. He knew it. He knew because he knew what the outcome was and that Yahuwah had chosen them. But listen, they needed the Ruach HaKodesh. He didn't let them go do anything until they had the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? The Ruach HaKodesh. Shaul was told, don't go to Jerusalem. 3 times, at least 3 times. He agreed to Ruach HaKodesh each time. Because he was going to go. Right? He was going to go. He grieved the Ruach HaKodesh. He didn't turn his back on Yahuwah. He didn't turn himself to sin. Actually, Shaul was motivated to do what he did, right? Right? Well, I don't really know his motivation because I ain't Shaul. But what I know, what he did is he wanted to go to Jerusalem to give a report. Yahuwah didn't feel that was necessary. Told him not to go. He went anyway. Right? Went anyway. And when he went, he got exactly what Agabus had told him was going to happen. He's in prison. Did he have to go to prison? No. He's in tribulation. He grieved the Ruach. Because he was given instructions not to do a thing. And he did it. He didn't listen. He grieved the Ruach. He was given instructions to do a thing. He was given a command to follow, to be led by, but he didn't do it. So he grieved the Ruach HaKodesh. And he paid for it. In jail. In Felix jail. Yahusha had to appear to him and tell him, take courage, Shaul. Right? You in this because you, but take courage. Right? Shaul had to repented. It doesn't say that Shaul ever repented, but he had to have repented because Yahusha appeared to him and said, okay, Shaul, take courage. I know you recognize what you did was wrong. And, I'm not going to let them kill you. You still got to go to Caesar's house. Because I already told you there were some things you was going to have to suffer. Right? Right? You didn't necessarily have to suffer this. But you chose to, which is just going to forward Yahuwah's program and plan because Yahuwah knew what you was going to do. You grieved the Ruach HaKodesh. Cost him 2 years in prison. Jail, waiting for a decision. Then he was under the control of a soldier and everybody else. He couldn't do what he wanted to unless Yahuwah gave him mercy. And the guard gave him some space to go out and do some things. Because he didn't listen to the Ruach HaKodesh. He grieved the Ruach HaKodesh. And Yahuwah said, Yahuwah knew Shaul's heart. Right? He knew Shaul's heart. He knew Shaul was convinced to get to Jerusalem to give a testimony. Yahuwah didn't feel that was necessary. Unnecessary. You had a witness to the Gentiles. You should continue to do what you were doing, but you felt this need to run to Jerusalem, and I told you, don't go. grieved the Ruach. Yahusha said, Yahweh be of courage. I know you recognize you were wrong. See, because Yahusha ain't going to tell you to be of good courage. If you in sin, he's going to say you need to repent. You need to ask for forgiveness because you disobeyed the Ruach. He didn't say that. He said Shaul be of good courage because Shaul had already decided that he did wrong. He recognized that he was in this particular trouble because of himself. But, Yahusha told him to be of good courage. You ain't going to die at the hands of the Jews. You got to go to Caesar's house. Yeah, how long it took for him to get to Caesar? And to get before Caesar? All that work that he could have done, but he didn't listen to the Ruach HaKodesh. He grieved the Ruach. Listen, Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh is essential. And the only way you're going to make it is if with the Ruach HaKodesh, you endure to the end. Which means that you got to actively participate in this. By your spiritual discipline and your devotion and your commitment, you got to buy what you understand you need to do to keep this whole thing in subjection and to be led by the Ruach. See, this don't want to be led, but he knows that with the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh in you, right? Because, if you don't listen to the Ruach, you grieve the Ruach. It's like a parent. You have a son, you told your son to do something, and your son decided he wanted to do something different, right? And there was consequences that were going to be attached to that. That grieves you, right? That grieves you, right? Grieves you. But if you got a son, right? Son says, you know what? I ain't going to go my dad's way. I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to go back out here and do what I want to do. Dad's going to say, listen, son, that ain't the way to go. That's going to lead to destruction. But you know what? You determined to go back to that because that's what you were familiar with. You liked it. So you go back to it. Dad said, you know what, son? Go. Go. Listen, the prodigal son, his father didn't go chasing him. Prodigal son's father didn't go chase him. The son made a choice, and he went to live in his choice. Father was grieved by it, but he didn't go looking for his son. Oh, let me go get my son. Constantly walking around with him. Look, man, you can't do that. That's not good for you. You can't do that. That's gonna be destruction for you. You can't do that. Right? He let him go. Right? The desire is that he would come to himself and recognize that it was better with his father. Right? But it don't always happen that way. And you know what? There's times that they don't come back. They don't come back. They don't come back. And you know what? Father doesn't have a son anymore. Yeah, he has a son, but it's like he don't have no more because he left the fold. He left the protection of the fold, the house. Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh is leading you to do something, you need to do it, because if you don't, you grieve it. You grieve the Ruach HaKodesh when you don't listen to the Ruach HaKodesh leading. Right? You have to actively participate in this Yeshua. You got to participate in this Yeshua. You got to participate in this Yeshua. You got to participate in this Yeshua. Man of Yahuah, woman of Yahuah, you have to participate in this Yeshua. You just ain't gonna get in this Yeshua and have the Ruach HaKodesh, and you know, you got to participate. You got to participate. Yahusha laid his life down to restore you to a relationship with Yahuah, and the Ruach HaKodesh is what does that in you. That puts you in the family, because now he's in you. Yahusha's in you by the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Right? You have an obligation, having received this Ruach HaKodesh, to do that which is necessary to cause you to be disciplined, to walk in agreement with the Ruach, to be led by the Ruach, right? You got to fast. You got to pray. You got to seek Yahuwah's face. You have to endure to the end. Only those that endure to the end is going to receive the prize. And those who endure to the end are those who have received the witness and endure to the end. Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 1 and 9. I ain't going to apologize for this, because in all intended purposes, Yahuwah told me to tell you must receive the Ruach HaKodesh. And the Ruach HaKodesh is not a carte blanche. It's not a gold card. It's not a platinum card. Right? Right? Ruach HaKodesh. Right? The Ruach HaKodesh in you establishes you in Yahuwah's family. Right? But you still got to do what is necessary. You got to put in the work. Got to put in work. And you know, so many people, you know, they start out running, but they realize the work that's required. The discipline. They ain't willing to commit to the discipline. The discipline, I mean, in taking the steps to strengthen yourself spiritually. To do the things that's going to lend to your spiritual development, your spiritual success. Yeah. Praying, fasting, praying in the Ruach, praying with your understanding, praying, consecrating yourself, setting yourself apart. Right? You got to do these things, man. If you don't do these things, you're not disciplining yourself. And eventually, you're going to grieve the Ruach, because you ain't doing the things that are necessary that's strengthening your resolve and your commitment in this witness. Right? You're not strengthening the relationship between you and the Ruach HaKodesh. Some things come by fasting and praying. But you don't want to fast, you don't want to pray. And the Ruach HaKodesh, man, listen, it is what it is. Corinthians, the 9th chapter, the 1st verse. Listen, Yahuwah has given the most. He's given us the witness, the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. He's given us the most. Right? Paul, as touching the ministering to the saints, or the giving to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write unto you, right? So that word superfluous is in the Greek.
Strong's G 4053. Perisas. Perisas.
It's over and above, right? It's more than necessary, right? It's exceeding abundantly, supremely necessary. Something further. I feel the need to write unto you, right? Right? As touching your service, your giving to the saints, it is necessary for me to write unto you, right? For I know the forwardness of your minds, for which I boast of you to them in Macedonia. I know how you are when you make a decision to move a thing forward, right? That Achaia, right, was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many, right? There were other people that heard of your giving or your willingness to give, right? Lend to them, provoking them to move in the same manner in providing and ministering to the saints. Right? Now, we talk about giving now, because in the 8th chapter, we were talking about giving. It's the same theme, right? He said, was ready a year ago when they heard of what you did. It was ready a year ago. And your zeal having provoked very many. They were ready a year ago to come. We had their offer ready a year ago. He says, less happy if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared when everybody was taking your lead. Everybody heard about how you were ready to give to the necessity of the saints. And they went in and they gave of their abundance. And here you got deep in poverty, Macedonia, with an offering coming. Listen, I'm writing to you so that you understand that this is what's coming your way. People who were motivated by what you did or what you declared that you were going to do. She said, less happy if the heir of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared. Listen, we don't want that to happen. You were leading the cheer. We gonna give to the saints in Judea. We gonna give, we gonna give, we gonna give. Everybody else follow our lead. We gonna give. Yahuah says, listen, you led the cheer now. Look, look, look. We don't want the people from Macedonia to come to find you unprepared. They be like, shoot, you haven't gotten your offering together yet? You led the charge over a year ago. And here we ready with ours, right? Again, understand the giving is to remove burdens and destroy yokes. The willingness to give is in direct necessity to the needs of others. It is removing their burden. If you have abundance and you give out of your abundance, you remove their burden, right? You have what you need, and now they have what they need. You remove that burden. He said, listen, you kind you unprepared. We, that we say not ye, should be ashamed in the same confident boasting. You should be, look, not me, but you. Because you the one that led the charge. We gonna give, we gonna give, we gonna give, we gonna give, we gonna give. Right? And everybody heard it. And they was like, oh, we gonna get ours together. Yeah, they got theirs together. And they come, we get to you, and you ain't prepared. You ain't got it together. Right? And all your boasting in having it together, or giving it and getting it together, right? He said that we say not ye should be ashamed in this same confident boasting, right? So the idea is that we want you not to be ashamed because, you was the one that led the charge and you was the boasting one. So you should have that offering prepared, right? You should have that offering squared away, right? He says this. He says this, therefore, I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before you unto you and make up beforehand your bounty, right? Whereof ye had noticed before, whereof you have said before that you was going to gather, right? That the same might be ready. Get the money ready, right? Have it ready so that we can go to Judea. He said, as bounty and not as covetous. Right? Given a bounty. A bounty. Let's look at that word bounty. Because bounty has a couple different meanings. Right? But bounty here is
Strong's G 2129 eulogia.
Eulogia. It is praise, laudation, right? Right? In a bad sense, language artfully adaptive to creativity and hearing, fair speaking and speech, and invocation of blessing. Right, okay, so that's the one we're looking at. The invocation of blessing. Right? So the idea is that your invocation of blessing, that monetary amount that you are going to be collecting, that bounty, right? That money, right? Because you got bounty hunters, right? Bounty hunters were in the West days, right? They would go and secure someone who had a bounty on them because of their excessive and extreme violations of laws that put a price tag on their capture. A bounty, right? I was a bail bondsman, or actually I went to school to be a bail bondsman. I got certified as a bail bondsman at one time, right? And the original idea was that we were bounty hunters. We were going to get those who had received bonds and skirted, left, took off, didn't make their court date, right? We would get them, right? Return them in exchange for money. We were bondsmen and agents. So we issued bonds. We had the authority to issue bonds, right? But we also had the authority to apprehend those who violated or broke the agreement of the bond and got paid on it. Bounty, right? So their bounty was the good thing, that monetary money that they had gathered, right? That Shaul wanted to make sure was prepared at the time of his arriving. said, listen. He says, therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they should go before unto you, before I get there, right? And make up beforehand your bounty, right? Your extreme financial gift, right? Whereof ye had noticed before, you had indicated before, you gave the raw cheer, you got everybody in the other assemblies fired up about giving to Judea, right? That the same might be ready, wanted to be ready, right? As bounty and not as covetous. I want to come, which you already haven't given it, and not trying to come and you trying to hold on to it. Giving, right? That's what they were supposed to do. He says, listen, but this, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. Now listen. Right? Shaul is talking, again, you got to understand in the 8th verse, he's not talking about people, right, who give all they have to somebody and ease them, and yet they in the condition that the person they just relieved, right? That's not what he's talking about. Giving sparingly is if I have abundance, right? If I have abundance, right? I give, right? In comparison, in my abundance, a small percentage, right? So, if I have $1,000, right? This is a figure, right? And it's over what I have, right? Got my bills paid. I got everything I need, and I got this $1,000, right? There comes a need up, right? I choose to give out of that $1,000, $5 offering. That would be considered sparingly, right? That would be considered sparingly, right? Also sparingly shall reap sparingly. So if in the process of my giving, I give $5, right? Off of my abundance, though I had the capacity to give more, right? In my giving, if I give that $5, right? I'm going to reap from that $5, right? But he which soweth bountifully, I had that $1,000, right? I chose to give $500, right? That's bountifully, right? Because I have all my bills paid and I have $1,000 left, right? I kept $500 because it's in my power to do so, right? But I gave half of what I had left over, which means that I have half of what I have left over. And I've given the other half away. That's bountifully, right? That's bountifully, right? Because in that, I shall reap bountifully. See, because Yahuah is going to bless everything you do by the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Because the sincerity of the witness in you, he is going to bless you and reward you for how you give. Now listen. You give $500, right? You know, Yahuah says that. He said, we bless you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men given to you. You know, 10, 20, 30, right? Right? 60, 20, whatever, right? It's not always money, right? It's not always money. It's favor. I'd rather have favor than money. Because favor can replace money. Oh, yeah. You gave $500, right? You did that out of generosity of your heart, right? Right? $500. Your car broke down. How much was it going to cost to repair it? $600. No, say $750. You don't have enough. Yahuah will give you favor so that that cost may become reduced or eliminated. Because he gets 1,600 folk. You give bountifully in behalf of Yahuah to remove somebody else's burden, destroy somebody's yoke, then Yahuah is going to bless you. Now, as I said before, Shaul said, right, you give, right, but you don't give and put yourself in a place where you don't have anything. Now, you have everything you need and your needs are met. You have extra, right? And it's not really extra because even if you have $1,000 and your bills are paid, that's $1,000, but that ain't a lot of money. But it's more, it's extra, right? You take from that and you bless Yahuah, right? Because there was a need. I'm not suggesting that, you take $500, just give it. I'm not, unless, there's this request. Like Shaul, it was a request. It was a request to come up with an offering for a particular purpose, right? It's a particular purpose, right? But the idea is that when you give, you don't give sparingly unless you want to just reap sparingly. But you give abundantly and you will reap bountifully. Now understand, again, in giving, nobody's ever instructed you to give your bill money. That's what you get in a Christian church. Oh, give according to your need. Okay. Well, I need my car. I need a car, right? But you got to get your lights paid. You got to get you got to get all the stuff you need to do for your house. And you get a check. Your check is X amount of dollars. But the man, a Lua telling you to give for that new car. So you're going to give abundantly. But you ain't giving to the necessity of the saints or the relief of the widows or the poor. You give it to your pastor. You just want a new Cessna jet. Cessna. I think it's a Cessna. Right, but you give it to him. There's no relief in this action. Right? You give him the money. Your check. And your lights get cut off. Your water get cut off. And you crying to God, the Lord, after you just gave. That's not what that is. And they'll use the scripture to no end. They'll use the scripture to say, oh, you're supposed to give. You give sparingly, you will reap sparingly, right? But in that 8th chapter, right, Shaul says this. He says, where is it at? Where's it at? I'm finding it. He says, listen, in that 8th chapter, that 12th verse, right? For if there be first a willing mind, if you have a willingness to give, right, then that's a beautiful thing, because that's where it starts. First, having a willingness to give, right? That's acceptable. So you have a willingness to give, that's acceptable. That's a wonderful thing, right? According to that man, that a man haveth. A willingness to give according to what he has. I have a willingness to give according to what I have. Now listen. Not according to that he haveth not. You're not giving according to what you have not. Which means that you're not giving what you don't have. Right? If I have enough to pay my lights, my water, and my gas, whatever else, and my check is 3/4 of that, then I have whatever remains after having everything that I have, right? And I have a willingness to give, right? So, he says, for not that another man be eased and you be burdened. You ain't going to give him, right, the third, and you keep the quarter. Because that ain't why we give to ease somebody else, and now I become a burden. Right? But they'll lead you to believe if you sow sparingly, you'll reap sparingly. You give bountifully. Give that 3/4 of your check. You're going to reap bountifully. You know what's going to happen is you ain't going to pay your light bill, your water bill, right? And whatever bill, and you're going to be in the dark without no water or whatever else you was using that to pay. Yeah, and he going to get a Cessna. You don't get a Cessna. He's going to get a bigger house. Because he ain't distributing to the needs of anything but his own desires. This word is true. Right? He says, so listen. He says, but this I say is italicized. Right? Now, if you're looking in the CEPHER, it's not italicized. But in the King James, which I'm reading from, right, it's Blue Letter Bible, it's italicized. So he says, but this, he that soweth sparingly shall reap sparingly. Now listen. You got to check. 3/4 of it covers your bills. You got 1/4 left. That left, right? If you give sparingly, you're going to reap sparingly. So that 1/4 left, say if the 1/4 left is $300. $300. And you, I have $300, get $20. Well, you gave $20. I mean, everything of yours is taken care of, right? $20 is not even 10%. $300, right? So that's sparingly. Right? Say if you gave 20%, right? Which is $60. You've given abundantly. I said you had to give it all because you had it in your heart to give. You had it in your heart to give. You had it in you to give. You were mindful to give, right? For I know the forwardness of your mind. You had a mind to give. In that 8th chapter, he says, for if there first be a willing mind. See, and if you have the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuah, you already should know what it is that you should give. Yahuah is going to reveal it to you. Now listen. I know a lot of you who. See, that's why, these messages about the Ruach HaKodesh is so important. Because they're what's going to help you to understand what it looks like and what it means to have the Ruach HaKodesh moving in your life, right? The Ruach HaKodesh will speak a word to you and say, give this much. And you give it, right? Sometimes it's entirely up to you. Sometimes you may not, how much do I give? It's up to you. You gotta have a willingness of mind. You have to have a heart to be in the frame of mind to give. Right. He says, let's go back here to chapter 9, right? Every man according as he purposed in his heart. As you have purposed in your heart, right? Not grudgingly or of necessity. Don't be grudging over what you got to give. Oh, man, I got to give. Man, they going to want me to give. Man. They want me to get $50. I don't give nobody. I'm going to get $50. Grudgingly. The Greek.
Strong's G 1537. Ek.
Out of, from, by, away from. Right. Let me see. It says, sometimes with which there has been a close connection opposite to the preposition. That don't make sense. So the Greek is out of, from, right? So he says out of or of necessity, right? Necessity. The Greek.
Strong's G 318. Anagke.
So it's like giving out of law or duty, right? It says necessity, imposed either by the circumstances or by law or duty regarding to one's advantage, custom, agreement. To give out a duty. Somebody making you feel like it's your duty. Right? It's your duty, which leads to you feeling grudgingly, because you don't always feel like it's your duty to do anything. And if you give it, you ain't giving it because you want to give it. You're giving it because somebody making you feel like you need to give it. Therefore, it becomes grudgingly, right? Yahuah don't want you to do it that way. Yahuah wants you to give because he loves those who give cheerfully. Right? Cheerfully. So, the idea is that it is where your heart is, which is going to determine whether or not you give sparingly or bountifully. whether you give out of necessity and grudgingly, out of duty or law and not liking the fact that you got to do it necessity, or because you love, right, what Yahusha has done for you and having provided you the witness and him giving you his Ruach HaKodesh, knowing that the saints should have all things in common and should be willing to work towards what is necessary to get other people on the having the same things in common. Right? It's communal living. That's what it really is. As Hebrews, it was communal living. Right? We had all things in common. If I had food, you had food. If I had a sheep, you had a sheep. If I had sheep milk, you had sheep milk, goat milk. You know, whatever we had in common. Because we were communal. We worked together. Right? Actually, it's just a Eurocentric idea of working for me, mine, and my own. Having my house, my cars, my everything. Right? Right? But as a people and as a nation, that wasn't what we did. You know, I had a donkey, you needed it, you had a donkey. Right? You got to take care of the donkey, or you're going to owe me for that donkey. You know, if I had it, you had it. That's right, even when it came down to the sacrifices. Yahusha said, listen, if your house is small enough to have, when he had given the command to do Passover, right, through Moshe, he gave instructions. Look, you get a lamb. If the lamb is good, but if it can satisfy two houses, let it satisfy two houses. That's sacrificial lamb. Because, you know, we were communal people. So, he goes on to say, right? Right? And Yahuah able to make all grace abound, right? Towards you. Because of your cheerful heart, having determined in your mind your desire to give, right, bountifully, right, or sparingly. You're going to reap sparingly, but you're going to reap, but bountifully, right? Yahuah is able to cause all grace, make all grace, all grace, right? Abound towards you. And you're as a direct result of your cheerful giving, your bountiful giving, right, towards you. Now that ye always to make grace towards you always having all sufficiency. Now, what's sufficiency? Right? Because everybody wants to press down, shaking together, running over, right? They want. What's sufficiency? Sufficiency. Great.
Strong's G, 841. Achaia. Austarkaya.
Achaia, right? So listen. A perfect condition of life in which no aid or support is necessary. Excuse me. So Yahuah is going to abound, cause grace. He's going to cause all grace. He's going to make grace abound towards you always, having having at all times a perfect condition of life, in which no aid or support is needed. Sufficiency of the necessities of life, right? A mind content with its lot contentment. So sufficiency is not great wealth. Sufficiency is not great wealth. Sufficiency is having the perfect condition of life which no aid or support is needed. I experience that right now. I have a perfect condition in life where no aid or support is needed. I don't have to go to anybody and ask them for anything. If there's something that needs to be done, I go to Yahuah. I discuss it over with my wife. And we pray, and we make a decision. And Yahuah performs exactly according to his word. I see, ain't nothing that I got that represents that's so important to me. I have the perfect condition. In all, and may abound to every good work. Because, see, that's what it is about. See, listen. If I have abundance, my thought is, okay, Yahuah, I have what I need. Where do I need to make a deposit in order to secure, right, to removing burdens and destroying yokes? What do I gotta do? Where I gotta put it? How do I gotta serve you with it? That wasn't always the way I thought. Talking about getting the biggest house, the nicest cars, having all of that stuff, right? For me. For me. But see, Yahuah is able to make all grace abound towards you, that in all ways, having all sufficiency in all, may abound to every good work. So Yahuah is able to make you able to be in a position to do for someone else. He rewards you. He rewards you. He rewards you. He rewards your giving. Listen. As it is written, he has dispersed abroad. He hath given to the poor. His righteousness remains forever. That's that man or that woman, right, who has dispersed abroad, right, have given to the poor, right, and his righteousness remains forever. See, he's not concerned about his money. He's not concerned about having what he needs. Yahuah has demonstrated to him that he is all that he needs. Right? Excuse me just a second. I got to do something really quick here. He says, as it is written, Shaul's quoting scripture. He has dispersed abroad, right? That man who is, that woman who is a cheerful giver, right? They have dispersed abroad, they have given to the poor. Their righteousness endures forever, remains forever, right? Their righteous act of giving remains. And they are going to benefit from that which they gave because of their righteousness. Their condition of having everything they need, right, will remain. Right? They are going to have all sufficiency. It's going to remain, right? That perfect condition of life in which no aid or support is needed, they're going to have. It's going to remain because it's their righteousness. It is the result of what they have done in demonstration in giving bountifully. They are going to reap. Their righteousness is going to remain. It's going to be established in them because Yahuah loves a cheerful giver. He is going to cause them to continue because, Yahuah knows that even if he increases them, they're going to increase their giving. They're going to do what's right. Right? He said, listen, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causes thanksgiving through us, thanksgiving to Yahuah. Listen. Being rich in everything to all bountifulness. Listen, you was going to establish you in your giving, right? He's going to establish you in your giving. He's going to establish you in your giving. If you give sparingly, you're going to reap sparingly, but he's going to establish you in your sparing giving. But if you reap bountifully, you sow bountifully, you're going to reap bountifully, and you are going to be enriched in everything to all bountifulness because you're a cheerful giver. You're not a grudging giver. Right? You don't give out of grudgingness. Right? Right? He said, listen. It's going to cause being rich in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us thanksgiving to Yahuah. We're going to thank Yahuah for all you've done in your giving, in your bountiful giving, right? As the scripture has says, he has dispersed abroad, right? Shahu's giving scriptures. This is what Torah says. He's dispersed abroad, which means that you gave from Corinth to Judea, right? Given to the poor, because this is going to the poor in Judea, right? Right? His righteousness remains forever. Your righteousness is going to ever remain before Yahuah, right? And he's going to bless you. Right? He's going to bless you, right? Now he that ministers seed to the sower, both ministers bread for food, and multiplies your seed sown and increase the fruit of your righteousness. I don't know how I skipped that verse. Listen. He that gives offering, because that's ministry. He that gives offerings, seed, right, to the sower, Paul, right, minister bread for food, right, and multiplies your seed sown, right. Your seed now is being sown, right, and increases the fruit of your righteousness. He that ministers seeds to the sower. He that ministers seeds to the sower. Both minister bread for food and multiplies your seed. So, he that ministers seed, Yahuah gives you seed, right? That you sow. He gives you the ability to get wealth. That you can give it. That you can be a blessing, right? Right? And wealth is not just wealthy wealth. Anything that represents increase is wealth. Excuse me. Right? So he's saying, now he that ministers seed to the sower, right? He that provides you with the money, right? Both ministers bread for food. The objective is you turn that into bread for food, right? And then he's going to multiply your seed sown, right? Because you gave, and it was for the blessing of others, right? Gave them bread, right? The poor, right? For food, right? He is going to multiply your seed, right? He's going to give you more money. In this case, because Paul's talking about a financial offering. He's going to give you more money, right? So that you could sow and increase your fruit of righteousness so that you can continue to give more. You can give more. You can give more. You become bountiful and you give out of your bounty. It gives you more seed. Yahuah. Right? Right? He gives you more seed. Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us thanksgiving unto Yahuah. See, the more you give, right, the more Yahuah is going to use your seed and sow it. And he's going to increase you, which is going to enrich you, right? In everything, you're going to become even more bountiful, right? which is caused through us thanksgiving to Yahuah, because that means that you're going to be able to do more for more people. He said, for the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but in abundance also by many thanksgiving unto Yahuah. So what you're doing is not only just blessing the poor saints, the qodeshiym set apart, right? But is abundant to many thanksgiving unto Yahuah. Yahuah is grateful for your obedience in giving. And he's going to cause you to continually be blessed. So not only do the people get blessed, Yahuah gets blessed. Adonai Yahusha gets blessed. They thank Yahuah. They're going to thank Yahuah for your giving. And Yahuah is going to say, I'm going to get them more, so they can provide more. And then more people are going to thank me, and then I'm going to give more. Sure. Right? He says, while by the experiment of this administration, this money, this offering, they glorify Yahuah for what you've done in this act of giving, right? This cooperative act of giving, right, glorifies Yahuah for your professed subjection unto the ministry, the Basora of Hamashiach. Yahuah gets glory, because this is what the ministry of Yahusha Hamashiach, this Basora of truth, this given, it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together. Listen, all of this ministry, this Basora, right, this gospel, this Basora of Hamashiach, and for liberal distribution unto them and unto all men. This is a benefit to everybody. This is a benefit to everybody. Everybody stands to benefit from this. He said, listen, and by their prayers for you, which long suffer, you for your exceeding grace of Yahuah in you. Listen, it's a win-win situation for you, because Yahuwah is going to cause you to increase, and people are going to pray and thank Yahuwah for you, because you have their prayers for you, right? Which long suffer for you, right? For the exceeding grace of Yahuwah in you. Thanks unto Yahuwah for his unspeakable gift. So Shaul said, thank you. Thanks be unto Yahuwah for your offering. This offering is going to cause people to be blessed. This offering is going to go for food and bread, right? And Yahuwah is going to increase you for what you do, right? Yahuwah is going to enrich you. He's going to cause all bountifulness to come to you. Yahuwah is going to do this because of your faithfulness to the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Because of your faithfulness to the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, giving. And Yahuwah's promise to bless your giving. If you sow sparingly, you'll reap sparingly. If you sow bountifully, you're going to reap bountifully. And again, Your giving is off your abundance, right? Because Yahuah is going to establish your sufficiency, right? And when you give, having already had your needs, your bills, your things met, off of whatever you have, you give abundantly. And Yahuah's going to bless you. Man of y'all, woman of y'all. Tonight's chapter, 15 verses. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha, Mashiach, the words you've given me to give to them, that they would keep them. Yahuah, again, I pray that nothing that I say will cause anyone to stumble, to be turned out of the way, to come up lame. Yahuah, I give them the word that you give me. The word that you put in me, I put in them. My prayer is that they would receive this witness and be established in this truth. Yahuah, you are my Yeshua. You are my strong tower. You are my strength. Everything I need is in you, and I trust you for everything. I pray that your word would go forth and not return void. That those that have an ear to hear would hear what the Ruach HaKodesh is saying in this hour. Yahuah, you told me to cry loud and spare not, to lift up my voice like a trump in Zion, and to tell my people that they need to be established in my witness. Tell them they need to have the Ruach HaKodesh, and declare to them what that looks like. Yahuah, I have done that and will continue to do that until you tell me otherwise. So Yahuah, I thank you. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Today, Yahuah has favored you. Walk in his favor. Listen. Be led by his Ruach HaKodesh. Right? You have to participate in your Yeshua. Yes, you have received the Ruach HaKodesh, and yes, Yahuah will lead you and guide you. And yes, he will keep you in this as long as you remain, continue, and dwell. As long as you continue to discipline yourself, right? Do the things that are necessary to be strengthened. Do the things that are necessary to cause you to be fine-tuned into hearing what the Ruach HaKodesh is saying. Because you got to endure to the end. And if you endure to the end, right? You endure to the end, then yeah, there's a crown wait. There's a kingdom wait. And Yahuah has a promissory note. He said, this is just a promissory note. This is agreement, right? To this purchased possession. Promissory note. This is a down payment to Ruach HaKodesh. Right? Right? But you must be established to the end. You must endure to the end. You must finish the race. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all I have. Be blessed today and be led by Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh. With that, I say, shalom, shalom, shalom. Be blessed.
Torah Guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.